Hello, Anne Marie. How are you?
Good morning, friend. I'm fine. I'm socially distancing myself over here. How are you this fine morning?
Good for you. That is what we should be doing in these times of COVID. Well, it's a pleasure to see your face. I miss working with you one on one. I want to talk to our audience about executive presence today because
Yeah.
that has come up a ton for both of us. I know in the work we've been doing for clients, both before this crisis, and I think it's been kind of elevated during this crisis. So talk to me a little bit about what executive presence means, first of all, because it's a term that gets completely bantied about constantly, and it's a little bit nebulous.
Yeah, I think it's something that people sort of feel like they know it when they see it, but it's
Hmm.
hard to give language to it. When I typically ask an audience, like, what is it? How do you know when you've seen it? It usually is wrapped in something like confidence, certainty. Somebody who I think sort of comports themselves in a certain way, which is very nebulous. What is this certain way, right? But I
Right.
think the heartbeat of it is somebody who is comfortable in their own skin, who is unapologetic about the space that they're taking up, and who feels a lot of confidence in authority in the way that they're communicating, both verbally and physically. If I had to reduce it, that's roughly what I would say it is.
So I love that's a great way of describing it. And interestingly, we're not really taking up physical space anymore with people, right? Like we're not sharing space with
Right.
people. So
Hopefully not.
you're right. I mean, you better not be. But so how does that change or morph, or how do we work on things like executive presence at a time when the space we're taking up is frankly virtual, right?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. The truth is the world rewards extroverts, right? It
Yeah.
does. And I don't think that that has become less true virtually. I think your ability to be visible and to be heard gets a little more complicated when we start using virtual meetings. So a couple of things I would say to be conscious of is to be present and to be engaged. There are a lot of just physical things we do when we're talking that we don't notice. We close our eyes sometimes when we're thinking, like weird
Right.
things like this that become
I do that.
magnified on a video screen. We look away. Yeah, we look
Yeah.
away. And you have to realize like you're really literally, I always take off my glasses to do this. You're making contact with that eye in the camera. And when you're
Hmm.
looking in this way, it feels connected. When you're kind of looking out, or sometimes I see people do this a lot, like they're thinking and closing their eyes,
Right.
it's really disconnecting. I also think your voice matters. We talked about this because Holly, you do this very interesting thing I'm going to share with,
Oh
is
my
Holly
God.
will be talking like this, and then she gets really quiet towards the end of her sentences.
What does that say about my executive presence or lack thereof?
And it's just this verbal thing that she does sometimes where it gets really quiet, not all sentences, but towards the end. That's not a big deal,
Yeah.
except in video, that becomes magnified. That
Right.
little sort of verbal thing that we do, whatever it is, I do things too, becomes magnified. So I would say just being cognizant of a couple of just practical, tactical things. Look into the eye of the camera. Be present when you're talking to people. Be cognizant of not wasting time. Have a really directed kind of agenda. And I also think I have the opposite effect in that I'm incredibly loud as a person. I do a lot of
True.
story yelling instead of storytelling.
And I do story miming.
And also miming, talking with my hands. I'm yelling, I'm miming. It's very operatic when I
I
speak.
like it.
So being,
Performative.
yeah, very performance. But I think being cognizant of all of your physical mannerisms, your voice get magnified in a small box, and to
Yeah.
be really super aware of that. And it's also easier to imagine you're not being looked at when you're not speaking, but everyone
Right.
sees you. So I think those things just tactically are small, but I think that they really matter.
Yep. And this is training that we do, right? Like we give this training to companies and to individuals. So if anybody out there watching, if you have questions about this, please ping us on any of our social media channels. Give us a shot by email. You can find all of that on storyandprinting.com. we hope you're all staying safe. We hope you're all staying healthy. We hope you are all are staying the hell away from one another.
Yes, please stay
And
the hell away from one another. And I do
please
just want to
do.
add one more
Oh,
thing,
yes,
if you don't
go
mind,
ahead.
Molly, is I also think be really careful of like hyper apologizing on calls.
Yes.
Be really careful of making sure that you're heard. If you're not finished, say, hang on, I'm not quite done. Let me just finish what I was saying. I think those things are also really important to sort of have an authoritative voice and be heard on meetings that can be really complicated and crowded with a lot of voices. Also,
Yep.
be very concise with your communication. This is hard to maintain people's attention. Don't sort of run all over the place and take,
Right.
1,000 sentences to say what you can say in 4.
Right. Be your own best editor or toughest
Yeah.
editor, right? Yeah. All right, everyone, stay safe. We will see you next time. Bye, Anne Marie.
Bye, friend. Talk to
Bye-bye.
you soon.